one is movies never close. 365 days a year, they're open and running. They never take a holiday. This is a great game plan for brainwashing people. I mean, we look back at 1940s Nazi Germany and we think, how could they be so gullible, or how could they be so naive, to fall into this whole propaganda thing? It's happening today on a large scale basis because all the Nazis had was big screens that people had to go to. We have this pumped right into our own homes 24/7, and people are being brainwashed all over the place. And it's a great game plan for brainwashing people. One of the reasons that God came down on Israel in the past was because they failed to see the difference between the clean and the unclean, or the holy and the profane. And our nation is falling prey to the same thing. We're not drawing lines anymore. There's no moral absolutes. That's why kids are growing up with these confused ideas about what's right and what's wrong. And the amazing thing is that the Bible tells us these things very clearly. And it shows us how we should live our lives. Because God created us, He knows how we should live. He's not confused about it. We are. That's why we're bummed out. That's why we as people get depressed and anxious and all these different things. It's because oftentimes we're not following the way we're supposed to live. It's like putting dirt in our car engines instead of oil. We were created to have God work through us, but oftentimes we just won't let Him. Homosexuality has definitely affected our culture, and many kids have grown up today not knowing whether it's right or wrong. It's a gray area. They're not sure. It's almost become trendy with the children now. It's really changing a lot. Pedophilia will be the next thing that's introduced, as every great culture that has come before us, the Greeks, the Romans, they've fallen into pedophilia where it's actually normal.
Not surprisingly, Harry Hay, who's the founder of the modern gay movement, was a follower of Aleister Crowley. He was also an actor who wanted to utilize the power of Hollywood celebrities in order to unlearn and destroy 2,000 years of Christianity and introduce Crowley's satanic philosophies regarding homosexuality and pedophilia to the unsuspecting public. Mr. Hay's plan has been working brilliantly.
By joining and uniting all of us, we have really gained power. This has been the struggle, and we're winning.
Television, more than any other medium, is leading the gay revolution.
I'm gay.
Erica Kane's daughter is gay.
I'm gay. It means I'm a lesbian.
You don't know how to kiss, do you? So you want me to prove it, Lesbo?
Well, the real world, I think, has been, in a way, solely responsible for a generation growing up with more tolerant views around gay characters and gay people in general.
It's kind of like making me open my mind to their world.
God's word warns.
Do not practice homosexuality. It is a detestable sin.
God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah because of homosexuality. His judgment serves as a sobering reminder that in His eyes, homosexuality is a perversion of sex that brings terrible consequences. The book of Romans describes the heart condition of those who choose the homosexual lifestyle.
So God let them go ahead and do whatever shameful things their hearts desired. As a result, they did vile and degrading things with each other's bodies. Instead of believing what they knew was the truth about God, they deliberately chose to believe lies. That is why God abandoned them to their shameful desires. Even the women turned against the natural way to have sex and instead indulged in sex with each other. And the men, instead of having normal relationships with women, burned with lust for each other. Men did shameful things with other men and, as a result, suffered within themselves the penalty they so richly deserved. And worse yet, they encouraged others to do them too.
Hollywood has long endorsed the practice of homosexuality.
You know, I think all the gay boys are going to take the business over.
Mae West's jeering of purity and exaltations of free sex and homosexuality were in accordance with Satan's plan to bring initiates into the New Age by presenting a new sexual venue that would launch society into blatant sexual revolution and rebellion to God's laws.
I gotta be getting back to the mission. Sally's father is waiting for me.
That ought to be interesting.
The homosexual community has trumpeted Dietrich as an icon because she helped to desensitize people to homosexuality way before its time. Crowley, himself a homosexual and pedophile, outlined that the New Age movement was designed to draw people into these lifestyles to harden their hearts against God. His goal was to deceive the people and sell them Satan's lie, that sin didn't bring the suffering and pain the Bible describes, but that it brought freedom and liberation.
So the thing worked for everybody of every sex. She was doing it to turn on both the woman and the man. It was so free. It was so free.
Nudity for Marilyn Monroe always represented a certain form of freedom. One should credit her with a whole change in attitude in the pop culture related to nudity.
Sexual freedom is something we feel is very important. It's a necessary requisite of the Satanic Church.
It's hard to understand if you hadn't lived before that time what a major impact that freedom of a point of view did to people's brains. You say, wait a minute, then there are no rules here.
We project the voice of freedom forward beyond ourselves to the youth of today and to the generations of tomorrow.
And make no mistake about it, we will not stop until we have achieved our freedom. Do not stand in our way.
The church, the state, hormones will decide my fate. The church, the state, hormones will decide my fate.
The day is coming, we're going to like them, we're going to do them, we're going to take our freedom by any means necessary.
I will do whatever I have to do to stay free. If it's a choice between me staying alive and free and somebody else not staying alive, I'm willing to make that choice too.
We're young, we're grand, we're going to rule the world.
I think it should be brought out that we not only condone, but we encourage all types of what would be called sexual perversities and deviations, because we feel that in a few short years it'll be established that everyone is a sexual deviant, pervert, fetishist.
We're happy to be here. We feel that historically we are part of this movement for liberation.
All my life been attracted to younger boys. I love them.
How do I make myself attractive to boys?
We feel a person should be free to indulge in all of the so-called fetishes, all of the so-called admirations that they would so desire.
Through the decades, Hollywood has fueled the fires of this lie by peddling greater and greater waves of filth to numb our consciences. And like the frog in the proverbial pot, we are almost cooked. True freedom comes by turning from sin to Jesus Christ, who gives the abundant life. Jesus said,
"You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free."
Sadly, Satan has been deceiving hundreds of millions of people for decades that living for themselves and their desires will bring happiness. This is a farce, for hopelessness, depression, and overall despair are at all-time highs, as evidenced by increasing divorce rates, broken families, chemical and alcohol dependency, and packed mental institutions. Only Jesus can fulfill the greater purpose that you know you were created for. He said, "If the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed."
It's so cool. I'll give you an example. They go like this, they go, "Hey dude, so I heard you're born again. So what's that like?" And I go like this. "Well, finally I'm at peace." They freak out because, let me tell you, Hollywood ain't at peace. And I go, "But the best part is, it's really cool to be in Hollywood, hanging out with you and be totally free from the bondage of sin. That's awesome."
Walk in the newness of life He offers through His Word, and fill your mind with stories that give true life instead of Hollywood stories that enslave your soul.
So we're back on live, continuing the interview from outside.
Okay.
So, you said I could ask you anything, right?
Yeah.
So, tell me about your childhood. What was your childhood like?
Well, I was born in Chicago. I left Chicago when I was 3. I used to go back and forth from California to Chicago. So I was around 8, visiting my father. And then after that, I started having friends. You're going to school now, so you got friends here. It's summertime. You don't want to go back there and leave your friends. You finally can actually play with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I started wanting to just stay, and Chicago faded out. So then my childhood growing up here, I came to Los Angeles,
to like the East Side, Avalon, 37th Street. Then later moved to Inglewood area. You know, did my schooling. I went to Raymond Avenue, John Muir, Westchester, and so on.
Okay. And then so after high school, what did you do?
I went to University of Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Golden Lions. Throw my Lions out there. And then I came home, back to California. You know, it was a lot more detailed than just that. You know, that's like
that's the short version.
Skeleton, yeah.
Got it.
There's a lot of muscle and flesh and bones in there.
Got it. Okay. Do you want a family?
Yeah.
Children?
Yeah. I'm not building this empire to give it to the state. You know what I mean? I'm building an empire here. I'm building great grandkids' money. You know, I'm not just in this for today, for me, for right now. You know, I'm building a legacy. I'm preparing for generations.
Got it. So going back to your music, where do you get your inspiration for the songs that you record?
My inspiration comes through real life experiences, things that I go through. I might change the names to protect the innocent, or, you know, not use any names at all, or use names. You know, it just depends. But
so you draw from real world experience.
Right. Because that way it's more heartfelt. You know, it makes it a lot easier. You know, to make up stories is harder to me when I can just jot down what I already know, went through. I feel I went through it for a reason. So
when it's just nothing but you and the pen and the pad. Is it difficult to start to write?
No, not really, because I look at it as, you know, I'm an artist, so I look at it like it's a blank canvas. So instead of looking at there's nothing there, I'm looking at like the possibilities.
Okay.
What it could be, you know.
Okay.
What landscape do I want to create? You know, what picture do I want to paint? Do I want to, you know, talk about this particular thing? I mean, it's like, it's sort of easy because it's so much to talk about, you know, and especially if you're talking about music, if you're making music with meaning, it's so much to talk about. You know, you can talk about, you know, how the neighborhood's bad and you know, you want to see how it will change. You know, I can make a song where it's a good neighborhood. I can escape from what's really out there and make a song of, you know, everything's good. And then I can play that song and I feel everything is good. And then if people hear the song, then maybe they'll change it and make everything good. Like, damn, that's nice. That will be tight. You know, everybody looking out for each other and this and that, you know. So music changes things, so I can paint any picture, and depending on how the person takes it, you know, it can go somewhere.
So tell me about TMH.
Too many hoes?
Tell me about Too Many Hoes.
Okay.
What is that?
Too many. Okay, it's too many stories to go with too many hoes. You feel me? Well, growing up being from the T ain't never been easy. I got oodles of girls whose goals is to please me. First name, pulled out my black book. Latoya, straight crook with a shy look. I adore ya. Now Bernadette kept herself wet till I arrived. Christine got a small waist and thunder thighs. Green eyes are often caught staring. Nicole and Karen on my three-way, guessing what I'm wearing. I gotta go. No, okay, no. TMH is a high school clique that that's like a lot of my growing. You know, that was a teenage year, so that's like high school, what, 15 to like 17, 18. So this is where a lot of identity is found. You know, you growing into yourself. I have my TMH brothers. You know, you have like fraternities and pledges, your line brothers and stuff like that. So I have my TMH brothers, and we basically raised each other, grew up together. And you know, the basis of our connection was hoes. You know, everybody was, you know, on hoes at that time. So we formed a clique, you know, and we was after the hoes, you know. But actually, see, what people really didn't understand about TMH was it wasn't like too many hoes, like we got a bunch of hoes. We were the hoes, you know what I'm saying? And it was too many of us that we was on the hoes, you know. So that's how that whole concept went. And then later it flipped into, as we became grown, we took it corporate and came with TMH Clothing and working now on TMH Film. So it was something that started off as a clique and fun and then turned into a business with the same people.
So how would someone go about purchasing your clothing line?
I have two clothing lines. I mean, TMH Clothing, that's a joint venture with the TMH Posse or crew. And then I have Yachty Clothing. Now you can go to either website. You can go to tmhclothing.com for TMH products, and you can go to Yachty Clothing or yachty.com, and that's YAWDI for the Yachty Clothing. Now Yachty Clothing is more diverse. You got business, you got women, men, kids, you have lingerie, got Naughty Yachty, you know, so that's more, you know, TMH, you got sportswear, you know, hoodies, you know, beanies, foot-fitted caps, you know, but you can get a Yachty suit, tie, what you call those, cufflinks, shoes, you know, so it's a whole different level.
So what's behind the name Yachty?
Yachty is unity through clothing, you know, love, one love, you know. It's actually, me and my business partner, he's from Jamaica, and it's a term that they say Yachty all the time, you know. So it's like a term of endearment.
I see.
Yeah.
Got it. So do you have a shoes line, or is it just strictly clothes?
No, you have Yachty shoes, you have,
Okay.
we haven't got to the TMH shoes yet, you know.
Okay.
We're still working at ironing out a few things, but yeah, Yachty is the head to toe, fully dressed, hats.
So going back to TMH, you said TMH Films.
Mm-hmm.
So you're interested in producing movies?
Well, I already have disaster area films, you know.
Oh, okay.
And that's all the music videos, and I have a film called The Curse of the Full Clip, which was my first film I actually directed and edited and produced. And it's a film about a gun that gets, it's a gun that's possessed, that gets lost in the neighborhood, okay? And then everyone that walks past this gun, the gun talks. That's the difference. It has a voice, and it actually has a female voice. So if you're walking past, it's like, hey, over here. You're looking around like, what's going on? And then it's a gun talking to you. So you get it, and once you pick it up, that spirit comes over you. So then you go do dirt with it, and now you're scared, so you get rid of it. And it kind of circulates throughout the neighborhood. You know what I mean?
So how does the story end?
It's a to-be-continued story because it's a prequel and a sequel after it.
Okay.
First you have that particular movie. Then it goes into the prequel, which explains how the gun became possessed.
Okay.
Okay, and the gun became possessed because this particular girl whose voice the gun is now is being chased and like cornered, like on the shore, or she's like running toward the beach and the police and everything, and she's surrounded. So she kills herself, and then the blood goes into the gun. So when they look, they don't find nothing. They take the body, think it was a suicide, and then they think it's over. But she escaped through the gun. So then they just put the gun in the evidence room. Then the police come in, putting some other stuff in the evidence room, and that's when the voice is heard from the police. Police get the gun, and then he puts it in, and that's where it starts. Then it has its own cycle. Then it goes into To Be Continued, which is the second movie, which is really the first movie. Right. So it jumps over that movie to start off where the last one left off.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
have idols, what they would do is they would put those idols in the main room in their house, and they would center their furniture in their living room facing toward that idol because that's where people wanted their focus directed to. Oftentimes today, most of us have our furniture directed at what? The television set. And that in and of itself is not bad, but the question before God is, where's our heart? You know, the scripture says to love him with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength. That's his main thing. That's why he created us, to have a heart relationship with us. If we feel convicted of something, that we should live a certain way, are we really loving him if we don't do it? You know, Jesus said, if you love me, obey my commandments. And then he said, why do you call me Lord, Lord, and not do the things that I say? So the very thing that we want to do is be a doer of what the Word of God says, or be a doer of our conviction, not just be a hearer only. Meryl Streep's uncanny ability to inflect true life accents and characters has completely astounded her viewers. As her co-star on the film Postcards from the Edge, MacLaine studied Streep's acting performances. MacLaine said,
or put another way, perhaps that is the true meaning of channeling. A channeler puts aside the conscious mind and surrenders to another identity. That's the phenomenon I saw in Meryl.
True to Crowley's instructions, River Phoenix sought out demonic possession in order to attain superstar status.
River saw a sign in turning 23. He'd started having bad dreams, that there were demons that he'd always dreamt about when he was a baby that were coming to take him away.
Phoenix admitted, I don't think I'm a very good actor. Everything is kind of tentative, and at a certain point you click in and you just feel the spirit move you. I think I can root out characters pretty well. I can be possessed pretty well.
Well, I've been an admirer of Aleister Crowley. I think that I'm carrying on much of the work that he started over 100 years ago, and I think the 60s themselves. You know, Crowley said, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
As goddaughter of Timothy Leary, America's drug guru of the 1960s, Winona Ryder is familiar with moving people through enchantment. At her best, which is considerable, Ryder can light up a screen with the skill of a sorceress. So writes Rolling Stone magazine of Winona Ryder. Crediting her spirit guide for her cinematic exhibitions, Ryder states, my grandmother is still alive and has a lot of letters and pictures of relatives, and there's this one particular relative who was my age when she died. She was a violinist and an actor, and she looked like me. I have had this feeling for the last 8 years that she was there guiding me and helping me with my performances. Vin Diesel also seeks contact with the supernatural, having stated, I'm going to do my best to channel the character on a spiritual level. Golden Globe and Oscar award-winning Halle Berry also has spirit guides that empower her performances to be more convincing and alluring. Berry told Oprah how she was empowered to win her Golden Globe Award for her part in Dorothy Dandridge. Berry said, there were many moments on the set when a sort of strange aura sort of took over, and not only me, but other people would say, they'd come up to me and they would say, she's with you today, I feel it. And I often thought her spirit showed up to say thank you and to guide me.
As you honor me, who you really honor is the eminent Dorothy Dandridge.
Oftentimes the most innocent can be the most dangerous and deceptive. Oprah Winfrey will never let her tens of millions plus fan base know that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, but regularly presents New Age deceptions and lies on her shows, which are transmitted to housewives and families around the globe. Her influence with her magazine, TV channel, and book club are staggering. Where does she obtain direction for her shows and enterprises? Time magazine gives us a frightening answer. Oprah Winfrey calls these her go-there moments. It is during these moments, usually while jogging the winding trails on her Indiana farm, that Winfrey becomes overwhelmed by the sense that old spirits are trying to get in touch with her. And it is during these moments that the woman who loves to talk stops dead in her tracks simply to listen. Winfrey says she has come to know each of them personally and calls them in at will to guide her in her work. Another celebrity many will be shocked to discover communicated with demonic spirits and even received movie scripts from them was Michael Landon. Of his dead father, Michael Landon stated, I felt my father's presence with me, enlightening my memories. I really heard my father speaking to me from another dimension, filling my mind with just the right words. The story came so fast and was so right. In 3 days, the script was complete. While it is true that Michael Landon did present Christian principles in his shows like Highway to Heaven presented a touchy-feely New Age God that anyone could have a relationship with without knowing Christ like the scriptures clearly state. Jesus made it clear when he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. Having endorsed on-screen homosexuality, spiritism, sexual immorality, and violence, to list a few, Leonardo DiCaprio believes himself to be a vessel put on earth for acting. Vessels are meant to be filled, and DiCaprio has opened himself up to evil spirits for this purpose. As Agnieszka Holland, DiCaprio's director in Total Eclipse, explains it, Leo's like a medium. He opens his body and his mind to receive messages coming from another person's life.
He's the new Leonardo DiCaprio. There's nobody like him, and he's like nobody. He's so special. He's a chameleon. He can do anything. It's shocking. I mean, he was just born to be an actor. It's the same way with Meryl. You see this and you're dazzled by their talent.
DiCaprio's director, Baz Luhrmann, stated that with Leo, you might see 30 people come out of him in a day.
Oh, what's this?
My poor Matilda. Don't be upset, don't cry. This is a bad dream. One day I'll wake up, love, Paul.
Nice, was it?
The average kid spends 28 hours a week in front of the television set, which translates into this. That by the time the average kid is 6 years old, he'll spend more time with the television set than he will with his father for his entire lifetime. Now, who has more influence? Because there's really no boundaries, no right and wrong. They're taught 24/7 that they can do what they want or live how they want. So it's so critical that we raise the kids, not these Hollywood insiders, not these people that decide what they should believe and not believe. It's critical that we set the bar for the kids and we instruct them the way the Lord would have us instruct. Prior to becoming the leader of a cult, Charles Manson spent years digesting the drug-ridden and occult world of Haight-Ashbury and fancied himself as a movie producer. Manson was deeply worshipful of Satan and encouraged his family of followers to be as well.
Maybe I should have killed 400 or 500 people, then I would have felt better. Then when I felt like I really offered society something.
Convicted member of the Manson clan, Susan Atkins, said, in time, he was to call himself Satan and the devil sometimes.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left. There'd be none of you left. There'd be none of you left.
His followers were brainwashed into compliance. Using music and movies, Manson was able to get inside the heads of his followers and lay whatever foundation he wanted. Family members who resided with Manson at the movie ranch have described how Manson would play movies over and over all night long. These were used to indoctrinate and break down the inhibitions of his followers. One family member stated, the family had things where they'd show flicks. They were running 4 or 5 movies at once, playing tapes at the ranch. For movie screens, they hung up white sheets for these grim events. And the films shown seem to have been reels of family happenings, music, the knife dance, lots of sex, but other films also. This set the stage for Manson to further twist their impressionable minds.
We are what you have made us. We were brought up on your TV. We were brought up watching Gunsmoke, Have Gun Will Travel, FBI, Combat. This guy you were looking to for, entertainment or whatever you want to call it, was killing all through the show. Every show we ever watched was all killing. All those old-time gangster movies where, it was all exciting. They were in the cars with the low hats on and they were cruising and they were shooting out the windows or, it was all exciting. And we are what you made us.
Let us not forget that in TV we have the greatest instrument for mass persuasion in the history of the world.
Yo, what's up? I know what's going on. The infamous interview. Why the song title, Real Niggas, first of all, with so much confrontation and so much controversy wrapped around this word nigga. Why would you bring out a song called Real Nigga? I did let them know that they fucked up when they got into it with a real nigga. Well, it's simple. The reason I came out with this video concept is to let them all know that they fucked up when they came around here and when they got into it with a real nigga.